Good evening. If you're already lying down, good. Settle in a little deeper and let the blanket find your shoulders. Let the pillow take the full weight of your head. Tonight, I have a story for you. It takes place on a rainy street in a small bookshop that stays open for as long as the rain keeps falling. There is a warm lamp, a green armchair, and a cat who pretends not to care. And there is a visitor, a nurse, coming off a very long shift, who is about to be looked after for once. You don't need to do anything tonight. You don't even need to follow every word. The story knows the way, and you will probably be asleep before it ends, which is exactly how it should be. Before we begin, take one slow breath in and let it go. Again, breathe in, slow and easy, and out, even slower. Let your forehead soften and your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders sink all the way down and let your hands rest, heavy and warm. Good. The rain is starting. Let's go. It has been raining since early evening. Not a storm, nothing urgent, just a long, patient rain, the kind that settles over a city like a blanket being drawn up, slowly, to its chin, on a narrow street where the shops closed hours ago. One window is still glowing. The light is the colour of honey. It spills onto the wet cobblestones and lies there, soft and unbothered, while the rain stitches silver threads through it. Above a wooden door, a small sign reads, "The Lamplight Bookshop," and by the door, on a little chalkboard, someone has written tonight's message in careful white letters. It says, "Long shift, the kettle is still warm." Inside, the shop smells of old paper and bergamot. The wooden floor creaks in the familiar places, and the shelves lean into their own shadows, holding 1,000 quiet stories that have nowhere else to be tonight. Behind the counter sits Nora, in her grey sweater, sleeves pushed to the elbows, wrapping a book in brown paper. She folds each corner the way some people fold letters to old friends, slowly, as if the time spent were part of the gift. And on the windowsill, between a stack of paperbacks and a jar of dried lavender, lies Chestnut, an orange cat, round in the manner of a well-fed loaf of bread. One ear twitches at the rain. Otherwise, nothing moves. The shop is waiting. It is very good at waiting. 4 streets away, the hospital doors slide open, and a woman steps out into the rain. Her name is Maya, and she has been on her feet for 14 hours. 14 hours of corridors and call bells, of charts and cups of water, of saying, "I'm right here," in the particular voice nurses keep for 3 in the morning. Her umbrella is still in the staff room, hanging on the hook by her locker. She remembers it the moment the first raindrop finds her cheek. She does not go back for it. Going back would mean the elevator, the corridor, the noise, and her legs have exactly enough left in them for the walk home. No more. So she walks. The rain is soft on her hood. The streets are almost empty. A bus hums past, its windows fogged and golden, carrying strangers toward their own warm rooms. Her shoes know the way home, and she lets them lead. Most shifts empty themselves out of her, step by step on this walk. The beeping fades. The hallway light stops flickering behind her eyes. But tonight, one thing walks with her. Not a heavy thing. Not exactly. More like a small stone in a coat pocket that her hand keeps finding. Tonight, near the end of her shift, there was an old man in room 12. She had looked after him all week. He liked the blinds half open. He liked his tea barely warm, which he called sensible. He told the same story about a fishing boat 3 times, and she had listened all 3 times, because the telling seemed to matter more than the fish. Tonight, the work asked for more than anyone could give. She stayed past the end of her rounds, and she held his hand, and near the very end, he pressed her fingers, the way you might press a coat button through its hole, and he said, quite clearly, "Thank you, dear. That was all. Thank you." She has been carrying those 2 words for 4 streets now. They are not sharp. They do not hurt the way she once expected such things to hurt, back when she was new. They are just warm and a little heavy, like a stone that has been sitting in the sun. She doesn't know where to set them down. At the corner, she stops. There is a light she has never noticed before, honey-coloured, lying across the wet stones. She looks up and finds the little chalkboard standing in the rain with its careful white letters. "Long shift," it says. "The kettle is still warm." Maya reads it twice. She looks at her watch, out of habit. Then she stops looking at her watch, on purpose. She pushes the door. A brass bell above the door gives one small ring. The sound drops into the quiet of the shop, or like a pebble into a still pond, and the ripples settle almost at once. Warm air meets her. Old paper, bergamot, and somewhere, faintly, honey. Nora looks up from her wrapping. She takes in the hood, the tired shoulders, the hospital lanyard still around Maya's neck. "Long shift?" she asks. 14 hours, Maya says, and her voice comes out smaller than she intended. Nora nods, as if 14 hours were a place she knew on a map. "Then you're in the right shop," she says. "The chair by the window is the best one. Go on, I'll bring tea." Maya opens her mouth to say something polite. Something like, "Oh, you don't have to." But Nora has already turned toward the kettle. And the truth is, Maya is glad. On the windowsill, Chestnut opens one eye. He examines the newcomer for a long moment, the way a landlord examines a reference letter. Then he closes the eye and returns to the serious business of being a cat in the rainlight. "Don't mind him," Nora says from the back. "He warms up when you do." The green armchair sits in the window's glow, with a small round table beside it, and a reading lampion leaning over like a tall, patient friend. Maya peels off her wet coat and hangs it on the wooden rack, where it drips in a slow, contented rhythm. She sits down, and the chair receives her. There is no other way to say it. The cushions take her weight, the way sand takes a footprint, completely and without comment. Her feet throb gently inside her shoes, in time with her heartbeat. She eases the shoes off, heel by heel, and sets her feet flat on the warm wooden floor. Oh, she hadn't known how much her feet were asking, until she finally answered. Nora comes over with a tray. On it, a white teapot, and a cup with a thin blue rim. "Chamomile," she says, pouring. With honey, it doesn't fix anything. It just sits with you while things settle. The steam rises in a soft ribbon and curls through the lamplight. Maya wraps both hands around the cup. The warmth soaks slowly into her fingers. Those careful, capable fingers that have adjusted drips and smoothed blankets and held an old man's hand tonight. And for the first time in 14 hours, they have nothing at all to do. She lets them do nothing. The rain taps at the window. Unhurried. Thorough. Like someone doing a job they quietly love. Anything I should be reading? Maya asks, because silence with the stranger still feels like something to fill. Nora tilts her head toward the shelf nearest the window. There is a small paper label pinned to it, handwritten. It says, "For those who don't feel like hurrying." Anything from there? Nora says. They're all slow books. Nothing happens in them in the best way. Then she goes back to her counter, and her brown paper, and her string. She does not ask about the shift. She does not ask what happened. Some shops sell you things. This one seems to simply make room. Maya sips her tea, chamomile and honey, and warmth going down like a slow lamp being lit somewhere behind her ribs. She looks at the rain on the glass. Each drop lands, holds its shape for a heartbeat, then lets go, and slides down to join the others. Landing, holding, letting go. Her shoulders come down from around her ears, one careful inch at a time. She notices the ache in her lower back, the way you notice a radio that has finally been switched off, by the sweetness of its absence. The two warm words are still in her pocket. Thank you, dear. But here, in the lamplight, they feel less like a stone, and more like something the old man gave her on purpose. Something meant to be kept, not carried. There's a book, Nora says after a while, in the tone of someone continuing a conversation that never quite started. Blue cover, no title. Second shelf by your elbow. Maya turns her head, and there it is. A deep blue book, the colour of the sky just after the streetlights come on. Its corners soft with handle. What is it? She asks. Guests write in it, Nora says. One line each. Whatever they'd want the next tired person to find. Maya sets down her cup and lifts the book into her lap. It is heavier than it looks, the way kept things often are. She opens it somewhere near the end. The pages hold many hands, neat little letters, wandering loops, words pressed hard into the paper, and words barely touching it. Her eyes settle on the last line. It says, "You don't have to figure it all out tonight." Maya reads it twice. Someone sat in this same chair, she thinks. Someone with rain on their coat, and a day they couldn't put down. And this is what they left behind for her. A stranger's hand, reaching forward through the pages. People write the truest things at night, Nora says softly, from behind the counter. Pens in the spine. Maya finds the pen, and she thinks for a long time. The rain fills in the silence, drop by drop, so the thinking doesn't feel like work. She thinks about 14 hours, about room 12, and the blinds half open, and tea that was barely warm and perfectly sensible. She thinks about how, on the walk here, Some part of her had been quietly adding up the night, trying to work out whether she had done enough, whether being this tired meant she had somehow fallen short. And she understands, all at once, what she wants to say to the next person. She writes, slowly, in the round, careful letters she usually saves for medication charts. Being tired is not a failure. She reads it back, and yes, that's the truth of it. Tired is not a failure. Tired is what love and effort weigh at the end of the day, when you set them down. She closes the blue book, rests her palm on the cover for a moment. The way you rest a hand on a friend's arm, and slides it back onto its shelf to wait for the next rainy night. And that is when it happens. A soft thump from the windowsill. Chestnut, the orange cat, lands on the floor without apology. He stretches, front legs, then back legs, then the whole orange length of it, and strolls across the wooden boards and hops up onto the footstool beside Maya's chair. He turns around once, twice, then he folds himself into a neat, warm circle with his tail wrapped over his nose, close enough that she can feel a small weight settled against her ankle. Well, says Nora, not looking up. That's his way of saying you're done for the day. Maya smiles. It is the first smile in 14 hours, and it arrives the way the tea did, quietly and exactly on time. The clock above the counter shows 11:30. Nora dims the lamp by the register, and the shop grows one shade softer. The shelves lean deeper into their shadows, and the rain wraps the whole street in its slow silver sound. I should go, Maya says, but her voice has no plans in it. The rain hasn't finished, Nora says, as if that settled the legal side of the matter. We don't close before the rain does. She brings over a folded blanket, thin, soft, smelling faintly of sunshine from some earlier, kinder hour, and lays it over Maya's knees. Rest, she says. I'll be here, wrapping books. Maya means to answer. Instead, she sinks half an inch deeper into the green chair and lets her head find the wing of it. Her hands are warm from the cup. Her feet are flat and grateful on the floor. The small weight of the cat rests against her ankle, rising and falling with his breath. Somewhere behind the counter, paper folds, string whispers. A knot is tied gently. The two warm words settle into her pocket for good. Thank you, dear. Kept, not carried. Her eyes closed. And maybe you're there too, in a chair just like hers, by a window just like that one, with the lamp turned low, and the rain keeping its patient watch over the street. There's nothing you need to finish tonight, nothing you need to figure out. Whatever you carry today, you can set it on the little round table next to the empty cup. It will keep until morning. The shop will watch over it. Let your forehead be soft. Let your jaw be loose. Let your shoulders sink all the way down, into the cushions, into the quiet. The lamp will stay on. The kettle will stay warm. And the rain will go on falling. Slow and slower. Each drop taking a little longer to reach the glass. Good night. Sleep well.